So apparently I was a wild teenager growing up. My parents sent me to boarding school in England. Boarding school in England. And this is what they hope I turn into. The reality was a little different. If you look to the far right, that's me with the red circle. That was the reality of boarding school in England. It was more like Lord of the Flies than gentlemen's tennis. You have 3 sports every year to choose to play. It's football, cricket, and field hockey. So during what they call spring term, and spring is January through March, you can imagine springtime in London. Cold rain, cold fog, cold mud. It's not very springy. We were told to go out and play field hockey, so we did. I played it a couple times, and I thought I was getting into this. This is the reality of field hockey in England. Needless to say, I wasn't very motivated to stay out very long, so I took up fencing. Not this kind. This kind. And I'll come back to it. And it's an interesting story. I fenced here 20 years ago at the Helms Olympic Bakery, so it's very interesting to come back full circle here and be here in this wonderful place. So for me, fencing is my constant. It's a central and focal point of my life. And it's something that I've always been very determined to do. And a little bit about what I've learned as a leader between motivation and determination. For me, largely, motivation is a state of mind. It's emotive and expressive. That's why you got great motivational speakers, right? All those posters. I Googled motivational speaking, and all this came up. Determination is something internal and deeply personal. Haven't heard of a determinational speaker yet, but maybe someday somebody will create one. I want to share a quote that I found very useful from John Lewis in his book, Walking with the Wind. Some people like firecrackers, kind of that motivational type. They come in, they make a lot of noise, and they leave a lot of ashes. John Lewis went on to say, I prefer a pilot light. It's nothing fancy, but when it's on, it's always lit. It doesn't go out. So that really resonated with me. And I researched a little bit more about John Lewis, and I found 2 very moving pictures from him. Here he is in 1965 at the front of the March to Selma, for a cause he believes in, and here he is 51 years later, sitting in for a cause he believes in. Imagine what his pilot light is like, and how that still burns brightly and inspires others. We all have that inside of us. I'm going to share another story, coming back to the fencing world, and this is a person who I compete with continuously. We trained together, Gerard Moreno, and Gerard was a high school standout athlete. In 1981, while he was protecting his family from a robbery, he was shot point blank in the chest. When Gerard woke up later, he realized that he was paralyzed from the waist down, and part of his right lung was missing. After what I can only imagine was a very dark and lonely time, Gerard decided to live his life on his own terms. He started downhill skiing, downhill racing, scuba diving. He rediscovered the sport of fencing. Started his own company, and launched a nonprofit to help wheelchair athletes get more exposure. Determination. This is where I train, LAIFC. We moved to the west side once this place closed down. You can see it's a big club, lots of space, lots of strips to choose from. I can pretty much fence wherever I want. If one area is crowded, I go to the other side. This is where Gerard trains, and trains, and trains. Gerard trained so much that it took him to 4 Paralympic Games and 5 World Championships. What I learned from Gerard is that the right kind of motivation will strengthen your determination. So as a result of training with Gerard, I set my mind that I'm going to compete at the Veteran World Championships. First, I have to make the team. So in addition to fencing, I also run. And then when I turned 40, I ran a marathon. Great feeling. And I don't know if it was the lack of oxygen or something got to my brain. I decided I'm going to run 10 before I turn 50. I was very motivated to do that. After I ran my 7th, and crossing that finish line with both my brothers, and having our parents welcome us with this sign, my father's very clever with words, you'll see, and that desire was gone. I no longer wanted to run marathons. I said, this was the moment, it's not going to get any better than this. I stopped. So what's next? Go back to fencing. I found that discovering an inner drive and matching it with real-world activities and requires time and commitment. And I wasn't putting the time and commitment to run marathons, and I wanted to go back to something that I was good at, go back and play to my strengths. So as part of a plan and part of training with Gerard was basically win a national championship en route to getting to the World Championship. And it's a little fuzzy there, bad scan, but anyway, that was my plan, one of several plans year over year I put together. I'm injured here, I'm healthy here, this works, this doesn't work. And I just kept at it every year. What I learned is that you have to set your intent, you have to know what motivates you, you have to understand your determination, know why you're doing it in the first place, and then for me, the link between the two is discipline. Discipline is your link between motivation and determination. Because again, discipline is emotional, and determination is a set of mind. If you set your mind to it, then you can move forward. These are the three things I can control every morning when I get up: my mindset, my energy, and the time that I get up. So that was part of my plan. I went from getting up at 7 in the morning to 5:30 in the morning, day after day, month after month, maybe not on Sundays. I built a support team. I became accountable to this support team, and I shared my progress. So my support team consisted of my mentor, my sports doctor, my coach, Okawa. I care for him greatly, great man. My fencing club, the CEO group I belong to, my family, and my spouse. I said my a lot because I own the experience. It was my ownership. I'm accountable to these people. And talking about motivation, determination, I just want to give a quick shout out to the American fencers that are going to Rio next week. Imagine putting everything on hold for one day. That's determination, that's motivation, that's accountability. And I just want to wish them the best, and I'm actually going there to watch them fence in a couple of days. So one of those items that if you're determined, go and support people that take you along their journey with them. So for me, it took more than a few attempts to get to this national championship. From 2009 to 2014, I went to every single major tournament for the over 50. I fenced in every single national championship. I went from a low of 17th to a high of 2nd a couple of times. And my pilot light was on. I just kept going. I just kept going. I was determined. What the lessons learned was basically accept and grow from your losses. Be just as determined the next time, because for as long as you're in the game, there's always a next time. So it's July 1st, 2015. I've made it to the gold medal bout. It's a big opponent. He had just taken 5th in the World Championships, where I had flamed out and taken 33rd in that World Championships that year. And gold medal bout in fencing, you go to 10 touches. So I'm up 4-2. I blink. I'm down 6-4. At the break, I'm down 8-6. So coach comes over, says, "What's going on? Where's your mindset?" That motivation was leaving me. And I felt, okay, this is the time to become determined. I'm going to be determined, more than motivated. I tied the score at 8-all. He went up 9-8. And I said, this is it. This is that moment that we all look for. It's not the Olympics. It's the over 50 national championships. It's 10:30 at night. We start at 4 in the afternoon. There's probably 20 people watching us. But it's that moment that mattered. We've all been there, right? So what happened next was I launched an attack at the attacker because I knew he's an aggressive fencer. He's bigger than me. Tied the score up at 9-all. Here's the final touch.
Yeah! Yeah! He's got it! Yeah! Awesome! Way to go!
It was over. Dimitri, maybe I can get a dancing lesson from you next time. But that's all that mattered was that moment. 10-9, I was national champion. Finally. What did I learn from that experience? Celebrate your wins and build on your wins. Good feeling, huh? Not the same tournament, but a great feeling. And since they're Nike shoes, I think it's got to be the shoes. So for those of us that know that. So basically, build on your wins. Express gratitude, recognize and thank those who've been with you along the journey. When you're motivated, others are along for the ride. When you're determined, they share the journey with you. So the next year, my parents, we were in Hungary, and there's my brother again, and my wife took the picture. She's a great photographer. That's why she's not in everything. And we shared that journey together in Hungary. So it's a special moment. So bring others along the journey with you. And lastly, imagine where the road less traveled will take you when you are determined and have the discipline. Thank you very much.